Hello people, and welcome to Noveria, our vanilla Cities Skylines snow build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And how nice is it to be back, right? Nice in this wonderful little snowy metropolis that we built over the course of last year. So the Noveria fans can rejoice, we are back for an episode to rebuild Noveria's airport using the new Airports DLC. Some really interesting things that I've come across testing out some builds with the Airports DLC is that all of the concourse buildings and terminal buildings are black, which you would imagine is there to help them differentiate away from the snow, but adds a very nice aesthetic. And there's a famous Noveria power cut, everyone. Yes, please. Everyone's losing power, of course. Some things never change. But here's our vanilla airport that we built. Using the international airport and metropolitan airport hubs and a ton of car parking and some uniques and some tourism, but of course we have all new assets now. We have actual hotels to use, and of course using our favourite Green Cities car parking techniques. But we should have fun today, and of course Noveria has a big cargo airport hub over here as well, so we'll do some stuff with the cargo assets as well today. But let's get it all ripped out and rebuild a snowy airport, shall we? Okay, so here we go. Everything is ripped out and we have a big blank canvas to play with. Of course, we are going to go with Flyveria for the name, as with the rest of Noveria's naming conventions. Got where the heck here? Oh, it's nice to be back in Noveria. I have missed this city. It's nice to see the relentless white again, which is something I never thought I would say. So during our recent airport build and the modular build playlist, we worked with the classic terminal stuff. So I think this time we're going to move up a level into the modern gradients, and let's just have a little look here so I can show off the black concourses before we do anything else. And so I'll place a few of these assets actually, so every single terminal style is black. It doesn't matter which one you choose. And what a wonderful little aesthetic change, right? So only available in Snowfall maps, of course, but kind of an excuse to start a new Snowfall map because it's all very kind of black and modern and definitely helps it stand out. You know, the ultra modern stuff is all white, so it would really blend in, so it's nice to see it black. How nice is that, right? Very cool indeed. However, we are going to be playing with the modern units today, and then our next modular build will probably do the ultra modern stuff and do some sort of big international transfer hub. So let's start getting everything aligned. I'm going to come ahead and grab some dirt road guidelines here so I can start coming down and snapping everything probably off of this right angle, I imagine. So let's start setting up some initial frames. We want to always make sure that from this point here that we're snapping to 90 degrees. That's going to help keep everyone aligned. And then this is going to come out by 20. That's going to be fine for me. And then hopefully here now we can just align with these road guidelines. Yeah, we're at a 90 angle there. That's going to be wonderful. Very nice. So we now have that arranged. Go ahead and upgrade our roads. I think I'm going to run with industrial one way. Like I mentioned in the modular build, running with the industrial roads from the Industries DLC, you get the little bollards along the road, which I think helps with the airport aesthetic, you know? Cool, so that's going to be grand. Let's come in and grab a ultra modern 2-story terminal, and we're going to snap this again 90 degrees. That is not 90 degrees, is it? Let's try that one again. There we go. So it's coming with some more dirt road frames so we can start to tether our next terminal into the build here. I think we're going to go for 20 and then 15. This should give us a nice space in between the two terminal assets. Shatter these over here, okay? And now we can bring in our elevated roads first. Using some nice sharp angles now. I often find that using sharp angles with these airport builds, it really helps them to settle in a little bit more. Then we can grab our concourse as well, of course, and this is going to come down now and start to create something of a little courtyard where we can play with hotels and car parks and maybe a little bit of tourism as well. I'm not totally adverse to the use of tourism here. Let's have a look how much we came out by here. It's a distance of 480, so let's make sure that we repeat that on this side. Looks like we're going to align near perfectly there. Very nice. We can bring this down. Let's come on to a little bit of a curve tool as well and hopefully start moving towards the road guideline of the roundabout over here. And that's going to complete our one-way loop back into the road network. We also have monorail available here. But I think I'm quite keen on trying to use some of the airport transfer stuff, so we might use some of the train lines here instead of the monorail, but we'll see what happens today. Now with the roads that come off the top level, if you actually sink down on a small elevation point, it marks the road as occupied. So what we want to do is just come off all of our snapping and then just manually eye it up ourselves. I think I'm going to go for about there. That should be good. And then hopefully just a little freeform curve now. Back down into the road network and not change the direction there. See if we can do this manually. There we go. Very nice. And then same thing over here again as well. Let's come and align to the road guideline and the angle as well. And we will appear next to this point. Hopefully just get a nice little connection in there. Switch everyone's direction up. So I think rather than bringing this one back down in this fashion, we'll do a little loop just to add a little bit of diversity into the road network. So we'll do little 5 curves. Let's bring that one over there. Another 5 curve as well. Just come down by 2 points this time. And then down to earth. And then we can connect that back in. And that's going to give us a little bit more variation in the road network, I think, isn't it? Very nice. I love the black concourses, everyone. I think it's really cool, isn't it? Such a different aesthetic. It'd be cool if we could change the concourse colours ourselves. That would have been a nice little addition, maybe. But either way, we can't, so we will carry on bringing out our concourses here. Let's go for that one over there. And then you can come out for... probably there for right now. So, of course, the biggest kind of occupation of space is certainly the runways. So let's start mapping out where these guys are going to sit. Again, I want to be making sure that I'm snapping to a 90-degree angle off of this snap point here, because it's going to remain parallel then with the rest of the terminal build, which is currently snapped off of that angle. So let's go for here for right now. That should be okay. And then we can break this frame off too. And then let's bring this down as well. So I think we'll have one runway come into this spot, although I do want it facing this way. So let's bring it further down. So we have a road guideline point over here. That seems like it's going to be pretty sensible. And then we'll grab ourselves a runway. So 8,220, it should give us a nice big stretch. Now I do want to do 2, so we'll probably have one running parallel this direction as well. So again, we'll continue to snap off of that same road guideline. Let's bring it up to here. We want to make sure that we do save some room for our cargo stuff to come and occupy this space over here as well today. Again, let's go for maybe this snap here, and we can bring this down. Go for 5,400 on this one. Slightly shorter runway, but shouldn't give us any issues, alright? So now I want to work on a little kind of cargo entrance, right? So, you know, this side of the airport would be forbidden to kind of the general public and the pedestrians. And I think, again, we can reinforce that vibe with perhaps a little toll booth to sit alongside here. Do you want to go for a larger one, maybe? I think the larger one certainly lends itself to the airport theme a little bit more, doesn't it? Cool, let's go for that then. And then, can we switch into... Yes, we can. We can move immediately into the airport roads here, but I think we're going to run with cargo road just for a little bit longer. Let's make sure that we're aligning to these key guidelines as well. Start playing with some smaller, more sensible curves. So we're going to start doubling up the concourse blocks now. Let's give a little 10 distance between them. Bring this one down. Also want to snap off this second terminal here as well. Again, by a distance of 10. And then we'll come back onto the road guideline as we want these guys to meet. We'll also bring a little concourse out here, and we want a 135 degree snap point on that angle. That should be good for us there. And where we have a little bit of awkward space, finding that the airport lounges and other kind of attractive assets help to fill out these spaces quite nicely. So hopefully we've got enough room here for a couple of airport lounges to sit next to each other. Yes, we do. That's very nice indeed. I think a lot of the time you just have to embrace that there is going to be a ton of empty space in the airports, which for me feels quite unusual, but it is certainly realistic to real life. So let's bring out our taxiways now. Of course, with the taxiways, they always have to, you know, come out of the ends of the airport here. That's going to really help you. Otherwise, they immediately take off, which looks hilarious. And then let's start placing in some medium aircraft standards, shall we? We'll have these as close to each other as we can get. Placing 4 of these over here. And see if we can mimic that pattern as well. What I'm actually going to do is bring out the concourse block almost as like a marker as to where I want that final aircraft stand to sit. Okay, and get it as close as possible. So we might be able to squeeze 4 in here, which would give some happy symmetry vibes. There we go. Amazing. Fantastic. So we'll put that in, and then of course keep everyone flowing in a sensible direction. We can remove this now as well. Why don't we treat this almost as though it has some larger aircraft stands over here, which maybe might be kind of a, you know, a long haul or larger terminal for longer international flights, whatever sort of justification you want behind it. Go for some larger aircraft stands over here. I think I'm happy to keep them in 4, but maybe this time we'll throw in a little airport lounge just to help break the pattern a touch. Hopefully once all our taxiways are hooked in, with that curve road tool on a road guideline, Snap's going to keep everyone nice and sensibly spaced. So it looks as though this isn't going to be parallel, is it? No, it's not. That is going to irritate me. Okay, just give me a second. I'm just going to slide all this over so it's aligning with this angle, and then we'll have some parallel roads here. And there we go. That has now hopefully solved our problem. Once we come back down to line with these guys, bring that out and connect in there. A perfect 90-degree angle. Amazing news. We'll also give like a little kind of dedicated turn-off point here for people that don't want to complete the full airport loop. We'll leave 10 tiles between the runway. Put that back in there. Looks like we can just head off down there as well. Let's also get a little freeform action happening into here. Or actually, probably... yeah, let's go for some straight angles. That's probably going to be a little more appropriate, I think, isn't it? Very nice. And again, likewise, we can give maybe another little access point into here. Alright, so that's going to complete our airport loop for one runway. They can land here, make their way to all of our passenger terminals, and then get back onto the runway here. So let's start working on a little cargo area, and I think I'm feeling at this spot right here to actually just be ever so slightly amended and widened, so it gives us a little bit more room to play with. So again, we're going to snap to the road guideline of this runway here, so we're maintaining that initial kind of snap connection, if you like. Let's bring this down a touch further. All right, and then we'll go for a runway. Again, I'm just going to bring off this distance here, so I'm a touch closer to that other runway. And then we'll go for, hopefully this distance here isn't too much to bear. We should be able to keep it in line. Okay, so they'll be landing here, but they don't land immediately at this section. They land about here, don't they? So we shouldn't get too many issues with planes colliding there. Okay, it's going to give us the nice big dual runway aesthetic too. Fantastic news. So I think I'm going to avoid placing the cargo terminal. I think it's just a little bit too big. So we're just going to start playing with some of the new industries or cargo roads, I guess, right? So I want to be snapping again to the guidelines laid out by my taxiways first of all. Come off the guidelines, so we're coming out at distances of 10 here. There we go. And then we'll keep these guys connected. Now we can start to form our little cargo aircraft stands here. So I think what we'll do is we'll save a distance of about 25 tiles here. Keep that parallel there for right now. So then I think we're going to grab the medium cargo airport road, then bring each of these out by 10. Then hopefully now we can just start to squeeze in a couple of little aircraft stands, and that's going to save us a space in the middle. There's actually a tile free there, but the concrete textures do blend together, which I'm happy with. Let's get that going again. Again, we're going to leave 2 spaces here for cargo planes to come and arrive. Let's get that one in there too. Okay, and that should give me enough cargo space here. Let's trim off these ends now, so I bet we can get one more in in here as well. Let's come back down into medium cargo road. Again, we'll do a little measurement of 10. And hopefully, with enough space to squeeze in, yet again, some dual cargo plane stuff. And this can continue now and down into there. I think what we'll do with each of these intervals here, looks like we might be able to just create a little access point, which should help us fill out those textures too. Let's bring these roads down a little further just so we get rid of the white texture. That should be acceptable for most of us that are involved in today's project. There we go. I think definitely some Industries DLC warehouses are going to be really key to blending in the aesthetic here. And of course, we've got highway access over here. Although we probably rework this on and off ramp system here today. And they can get back down this road too, of course. Let's not forget that. So now that we're starting to play with the cargo airport roads, let's go ahead and upgrade this back into industrial. And then we will provide a connection out here. Let's move on to some freeform curves now. So let's bring out an industrial road this way. It would also be cool to factor in the cargo train station here as well, because of course we do have train lines nearby. Yeah, it just wants maybe terraforming or shifting back just a touch, doesn't it? Although it definitely wants to be perhaps sat here instead, so it's more involved with the airport assets. I think that's okay, isn't it? They're going to be on the ground at this point anyway, so we shouldn't be too far out of the realms of possibility, I feel. Cement this one here, and we can now give a train connection for our cargo train thing to work properly. Alright. Let's make sure we terraform out a little layer for this new line to come through too. Hope you're all enjoying being back in Noveria for an episode. It was really fun building Palaven's airport again, back on live stream when the airport's DLC dropped. But I wasn't quite sure of myself with the DLC at that point, so I'm a little more confident with it now. And we can hopefully put together some nice designs here. So we'll start going down in these sweeping curves. Of course, re-terraform all this so it sits perhaps a little more naturally. And then we can bring this one in and get a little connection in there. Of course, lots of oil fencing and some more fencing is going to be our best friend today. See if we can get a little 10 curve in here, shall we? Maybe a touch shorter than that. Don't think I hate it so far. Definitely want to start looking at detailing the airfield itself, and of course our hangars and plane assets are going to be real helpful in doing this for us. So let's go ahead and grab some small hangars first of all. And delete a little section of concourse here. Come back in and just try and bring it out to the edge of that concrete texture. That seems like it's going to be okay. I'm going to grab some hangers here to sit within these spaces. That shouldn't look too bad. Again, I think that can be complemented with some planes parked outside. Let's go for a large park plane first of all. We'll see if we can spin this around so it's facing somewhat into the hangar. Maybe two next to each other on this point. The hangars do just want moving over a touch, don't they? So they're at least somewhat aligned with the planes. That would be nice. It would be helpful if these things had like a snapping option. So I guess there's always modded Cities Skylines, right? Okay, I love how there's still a ring of people waiting at the old international airport from the After Dark DLC. They're still hanging out on the taxiways. You guys better move. That is about to be an extremely unsafe place to stand. Let's drop in some fuel vibes as well, of course. Let's go for perhaps lining them up just on the edge of these aircraft stands here. Might be quite a nice idea. Something like this. Again, it should help fill out that concrete texture here. It's going to give us a nice view from there. kind of circuit road here that runs around the perimeter of the airport too. And here we go. Should now start to see a nice mix of planes. These people are not in a good way. There we go. Blended up. Sucked through the jet engines and fired out to fertilize the Noverian and Palaban pines as well. Rest in peace. Oh dear. So we're now starting to see our oil and ore and forestry and farming trucks, industry trucks basically, would have been the quicker way to say that, and bringing cargo to our stands, which is giving them active flights, which eventually cargo planes will come on land here. But of course, I have not forgotten about the inclusion of the warehouse assets here either. A title too short. Why did I not knock it over by one more? It's fine. This highway interchange really wants reworking too. This is really in the way. Which I think is what we're going to do. So yeah, let me rip this out and then we can place our warehouses here too. Okay, so there we go. Just rework that out. Now we can have a little look at maybe storing in. So let's actually see what's coming in here. So he's just a post truck. That's fine. More post truck. Yep, lots of post trucks coming in. So there's a tractor here exporting agricultural products. That's going to be okay. Missing water, of course. Hopefully see him through. So we're going to store animal products. It looks as though I might want to slightly rework this taxiway ramp now, because it looks like planes will clip through that warehouse, which of course will look ridiculous. So we can now have that flow there. And here's our first cargo planes. And what a wonderful aesthetic that is from the highway, right? Seeing the cargo planes coming now in these expansive cargo areas. Very nice indeed. And he's going to head back out this way and jump on the highway by the looks of it. There goes a plane as well. Everyone's coming in now. There they go. It's a sharp takeoff, isn't it? Dear me. Alright. But not too bad, not too bad. Certainly plenty more decoration to be done. Lots of the old favourite vanilla walking path kind of details that we looked at in the modular build. All of these to kind of span between the runways is really going to help just eliminate a little bit more of that white space, which again can take away from the aesthetic, but can be fixed and lots of overgrowth of course, but things to do in and around our detailing time lapse. Whilst we come over to discuss the front of the airport here, of course, where lots of our new attraction assets can sit, luxury hotels and whatnot. So let's have a little chat about some treed roads to start accommodating these buildings here. Let's see where we can possibly start coming out from. Let's bring a connection off at this point here. Now, of course, we do have new content created trees since we've loaded into Noveria again. And they are entirely white. Of course. Even the palms. Oh yes, look at that. Look at that. It looks like an unrendered or like an untextured model. Like it's just been rendered and needs a texture put in on it. Is this the same with every single one of the content creator trees? Yeah, it is. Even the boreal pines. Wasn't all the trees like this, right? Yeah, the Palaban pines are fine. It's just the content created trees are extremely white in the Snowfall maps, but we will of course use them. Let's start using some of these boreal pines. I've been dying to use these. Why don't we go for those, and then maybe a smaller tree in the middle? Is that going to be okay? I think it is. I don't think I'm going to totally hate the idea, right? And let's have a little look at possibly bringing in some Green Cities car parking. With a perfect little 10 there again. That's just changed my upgrade palette for some reason. So we'll go for that one. And then hopefully the airport hotel can sit relatively happy and friendly up here. Let's come in to plot the growables, of course, using the Green Cities technique. Our regular car parks in here. Also happy to start bringing in some larger car parks up and out the front here as well. But otherwise, I think sitting safe and sound within the middle of the airport complex there, and that luxury hotel is going to work quite nicely. Now, Noveria's build really made use of the pyramid of safety, which still kind of works within the build here. I don't think I'm totally going to hate it. And it looks like there's even space for roads to start coming back and around behind this to meet up perfectly with that one. And then, oh, there we go, just load up. That's great news. And then we do have the space to spare here for, although not everywhere. That can be fixed by moving that road out though, which I think is what I'm going to do. Because I would very much like the aesthetic of the little winged or veranda green cities car parks to appear out of this point as well. So let's come on to road guidelines so we can get a nice little freeform curve into here again with the one-way loop. That completes that system. And then it's really these assets here, the eco-commercials from the Green Cities DLC, that work tremendously well with the airports because they have that little wing on them, which I'm a huge fan of. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's get some more over in this space as well. And I think where we have the spaces in the middle, where the pattern isn't quite going to run flush, maybe a little bit of back-to-back taxi stand action to come into these spaces as well. Okay. It's not too bad, is it? Thankfully, these assets in, oh well, without plop the growables aren't too bad to get in. The assets in the 3x2 pool, there isn't too many of them. Oh, it looks like an ILOS driver has arrived. Ignoring the roads entirely, but it's not too bad. I think it's going to serve as a nice centerpiece for the airport, isn't it? Pyramid of safety definitely complements the luxury hotel. Let's have a look at some of our planes coming in here too. It's incredibly satisfying watching these airports come to life, isn't it, once you hit play and seeing everything come in. Fantastic news indeed. I'm also very much keen on constantly including yet more hotels alongside some public transport here too, because there is currently 0 public transport serving the airport, which is bad news bears. How about a couple of standard hotels to face that over this conifer forest that sits here? Again, they might just want setting back off of their own road, which we can have a talk about. So we do have monorail in the area. Let's have a little look at possible locations for a monorail station to sit. It doesn't look like it's going to enjoy being here, which is fine. I guess we could have them one monorail stop there and start to introduce a little bit of open parkland. And again, some of the tourism assets will work nicely over this way too. Now hopefully it's just going to be a simple case of meandering this monorail line through the new airport complex, and can possibly play with some monorail between boreal pine action happening here as well, using these new taller trees now to help frame our public transport. Lots of potential ideas there, of course. And again, we'll bring this down. This one will come out. And we'll come to road guideline and freeform curve. Splendid. Very nice. Actually, it's at this point can be a one-way monorail loop, can't it? We could have it back up, but it can be one way. Which again, in the original Noveria airport build, which I will leave a link down below if you want to come and see this initial airport constructs from the Noveria city, if you haven't watched it. Realise we might be having a few ILOS people hanging out today who haven't seen Noveria. It looks like... Oh, that is a shame, isn't it? That is a shame. Yeah, see, if I knock that over by 1, I could shorten the curve on the off-ramp here, which wouldn't... Because we do have 2 tiles worth of space, which I think is what I'll do. Or I could curve it. Yeah, let's curve it the other way. So that's going to totally solve my problem. So we'll do that as well. Again, we'll line up the kind of center point here for the one-way system to come through the trees. Huge lover of that. That's really been one of my favourite points of the episode here, is single one-way monorail line through a boreal pine upgraded road. Alright, and then let's just get some nice curvy monorail action going on here. That's going to hook everyone in, and this can now come back to complete the loop at the front of the airport. And hopefully it does come into there. And there we go. So that's going to split it off and frame everything nicely. Again, let's not forget to reinstate the little curve ramp here that's going on. We were using one-way industrial road. There is also a cycle highway over here as well. So we'll definitely want to hook into Noveria's extensive cycle network. Bring that down. And then just come under and hook in. Move this one over now too. Cool. So that totally solves our problem. Definitely want to start looking at public transport. So let's go for the train little module thing that we can attach to the side. Airport train station. There it is. Let's line it up with the airport lounge that sits within the airfield itself. And we'll grab ourselves a little rail to hook this in as well. Of course, doing some terraforming to not have that insane cutaway. Let's just level out a little bit of land to come in, and then hopefully it just some initial slope in here will allow us to get a nice little slope up. I was actually really surprised during the Noveria build how well this rail system coped with all the airport traffic. I did think after kind of building it, I was like, this does have the chance to clog, but it hasn't. It stayed absolutely wonderful, which is very much appreciated. So thank you so much, Noveria. Again, terraforming can all be fixed here, and there's plenty of rock detailing to bring back in as well today, because a ton of stuff has been deleted. And let's get our train lines stopping over here too. So there's currently two. Why is there two lines here? Because they travel in different directions, don't they? Yes, they do. They do. Okay. So it's been a while since I set this up. Yeah, let's have a stop in there. There we go. And then I want to grab stop on the way back to come in there. Cool. So that's going to serve the yellow line, and the black line won't stop at the airport. However, guys, this does feel like a good place for a detailing time lapse. We have a bunch of work to do, lots of airfield decoration. Again, using our walking pathways to set up these frames within the open spaces. And plenty of overgrowth around here as well, although it's mostly just white texture at this point in Noveria. Lots of fencing around the entire airfield itself. Redecorate up with some of the rocks that were kind of bordering the edge of the forest here, okay? And redetail up our little NAX sign. Now it's been fractured by the one-way monorail system. I'll also probably plop down a couple more warehouses over this side as well, as it kind of becomes all boxed in by that airport fence. And then perhaps some more industrial themed assets over here. But otherwise, plenty of detailing to do. So we'll be right back. And a quick note for our finished product before we say goodbye here. We are pulling in nearly 15,000 people a week, which is insane. Super busy airport configuration. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares below really help me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. If you'd like to help support the channel, there are links down to Patreon and Instant Gaming below in order to do so. Really happy with Noveria's airport redesign. I've also come in and added in some concourse circles to hold in a couple of air control towers and also a little airport viewing park as well, over where the aviation club used to sit, just on the edge of that road. Using some nature reserve viewing decks, so aviation enthusiasts can come and watch the planes come and go at will. Of course, lots of airport fence and parallel path spice really helps fill in these areas between the taxiways and runways, and this thing looks fantastic at night time, so do hang around for the finishing cinematics. Otherwise I will shut up and I will leave it there. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.